Hello everybody, welcome to NXP Base and welcome to the Spectre Base Shootout. This video is going to be a comparison between two Spectre Euros. It's intended partly at people who are considering buying a Spectre, because I know from experience it's not always easy to find a shop that has Spectres, and never mind a few of them that you could compare. So there's going to be a lot of tone samples at the end of this video. But it's also going to be, I think, interesting for anyone who's into Spectre bases, whether they own one or etc. I'm going to be sharing quite a bit of information about these great bases, so I hope you enjoy it. I hope everyone likes it. So of course I'm not a pro, I'm not a Spectre sales rep, but I've gathered quite a bit of information and knowledge, I guess, on Spectres since I started getting into it, since I started researching them before I bought my first one. And over the years since I've been an owner as well. So the two bases we're going to review today are both Spectre Euro LX. That model has been the flagship of the European factory in the Czech Republic for quite a long time, although now since the Korg takeover there's quite a lot of other models. So apart from the LX, which remains in the range, there's also now the LT, which are the light version. So the wings here are weight relieved on the LT. It also comes with a dark glass preamp as opposed to the Spectre tone pump that's in the LX, and it comes with Bartolini pickups as opposed to the more, I guess, traditional for Spectre, the more traditional EMG pickup like I have in my two bases here. There's also the LE in addition to LX and LT, that stands for limited edition. The ones you might see around the most commonly are the 1977 and 1979, which are throwbacks to the original Spectres, the first that came through in those years. Most Euro LX, so like mine, have a Spectre tone pump as a preamp, and it's the version with a trim pot, so there's a way to adjust it inside. The pickups, there are other options available than EMG. There's also Aguilar and Bartolini, and relatively new on the LT limited edition for 2020 there's also the Fishman Fluence. I think they might use them on other models in the future. Lastly, for the Euro range there is also bolt-on models, because all the Euro models I've talked about so far are all neck-through, like this one. You see there's no bolt here, and construction goes right the way through the body. But they also have some bolt-ons in the range. They used to call them Rebops, and these used to come with EMG HZ pickup. Currently there is a new addition to the range which replaces them, which is called Eurobolt, and it tends to come with Aguilar pickups. Now my bass guitars here, my 4 is a 2017, whereas my 5 is a 2013, and that's quite significant because there were changes in the range between those dates. So I'll be going through these things in a moment, but some of the differences between my two basses are not to do with the fact that one is a 4 and one is a 5, but just with the year, the dates of these models. In terms of the sound sample, I'll use a very simple method. I'll do some pickup voicing without the preamp, so every position. Then I'll start adding some preamp. I'll use different techniques as well. I play mostly finger, but I'll also do some pick and some slap, for better or for worse. And I'll also play different types of instruments and try to cover different areas on the neck so that you have an idea of how these two instruments sound. And importantly, I'll be adding some timestamps in the description below, so you can shortcut to the different to each individual sample and really listen to what you're interested in, and compare between the two basses as well, so it should be very practical. Now, I was talking about the fact that some of the differences between the two bases are related to the year. One of them is the tuners. So you see these tuners here are relatively recent for the Spectre range. They used to have shallow tuners like my 5 has in the background, but now they use Goto GB707. These are great tuners. Post is a little bit bigger, and there's just one little challenge with them, and that's the fact that you can't get a hip shot extender. So if you, like me, want to have a hip shot extender on your 4 here, you're going to need to unscrew the top part here and just replace it, just so that it doesn't look too different. But still, the post at the top does look different because there's just not an extender for the Goto. Another difference is the battery compartment that doesn't exist on my my older Euro 5, and here there is a battery compartment on this one, and that's quite significant as well, because number one, if you need to change your battery, you don't need a screwdriver, you don't need to go into the cavity. But number two, it also means there's a little bit more space in the cavity, and that means you have a bit more access to adjust the tone pump, the preamp. So the Spectre tone pump is that black box here, and you can see there's a little yellow button here, and so when you screw that one way or the other, you turn up or down your preamp, your tone pump. So that's something new, that's something quite good, and it's available in recent 5 strings as well. It's not specific to the 4, of course. Apart from that, the two bases are quite similar in constructions, both neck through, both rosewood fretboard, unlike the LTs, which have ebony, and the Euro Bolt, which have roasted maple. The wings at the top are maple. There's a slice of walnut in the middle. The back of the wings is alder, and the neck through construction is all maple. One difference between these two bases, aesthetically, that's nothing to do with the year, but that's to do with the 4 and 5, is the headstock. So this has the famous Gumby headstock, that's quite emblematic of Spectre, and has been in use since the 70s, since the early models, whereas the 5 has what I call the platypus headstock, for obvious reasons, I think, and it's also, by now, it's quite traditional, like they've been using it since the 90s, but it's just a little bit less emblematic of Spectre than the Gumby. A difference that I forgot to mention in terms of the year of the models, so on both of mine here, they came with shallow strap locks as well. You see these things here, you have a quick release. The current one, like even the Euro LT, do not come with this system anymore. Now in terms of model, and let me grab the 5 string for a second. In terms of model, the 5 string has 2 major differences. One is the scale, so it has a longer scale, so you might notice the bridge is further back here. It has a longer scale, and that's very useful for the B string because that prevents it from being sort of floppy, and that helps with the clarity of the tone when you're playing on your B string. That's a really good advantage and typical of all Spectre 5 strings, I believe. In terms of string spacing as well, because there's 5, the spacing between the strings is different, so it's a lot closer here. It has advantages and convenience. You know, neither is better than the other, but when you're moving from one to the next, you definitely notice when you're moving between the two basses. The 4 string has a neck which is sort of similar in size as let's say jazz bass at the bridge in terms of string spacing, but at the nut it's closer to a P bass, and both these basses have a radius which is relatively flat. I think it's 400 millimeters or even more, and that's really, to me, that's really comfortable. I really enjoy the flatter fretboard on Spectres. Just something to know. So of course the body is going to be a little bit bigger, and that's because even though the wings themselves are exactly the same as on the 4, the neck is bigger, and also the part of the neck that's in the middle here is bigger. So that adds to the weight, that adds to the bulk of the bass, and it's definitely noticeable between the two. The other major difference between my 4 and my 5 is the pickup. So as you might have noticed earlier, the 4 has P and J, so that means a precision pickup at the neck and a jazz type pickup at the bridge. But this bass here has humbuckers, and what's interesting about them is that these are EMG 40 DC, so that means they have a push-pull button. So that means on both of the volumes here, volume for the bridge, volume for the neck pickup, you have the ability to push and pull. By pushing you engage the dual coil, whereas by pulling you're splitting it. So that gives you that many more options in terms of tone, and I'll be going through that in the samples as well. Both basses have the same tone pump, both with the trim pot I was showing you earlier. That's something important to keep in mind, because there is also a thing called the Tone Pump Junior that does not have the trim pot. So if you're looking at a second-hand Spectre, it could be that you find one that doesn't have a trim pot, so that means you can't adjust the level. So that's something to know as well. And lastly, both these models have the same system because it has the preamp. You have the same controls. That's a bass control here, a treble control here, and both of them are 20 dB boost only. So I would recommend, when you're looking for your tone, starting at 0 and then bringing it up to wherever you feel like it sounds good. When I do the sound samples, I'll start with pickup voicing with no preamp, so with both of them at 0. There's no detente in the middle, so again it's not plus and minus, it's boost only. So as soon as you engage these two, you engage the preamp for treble here and for bass here. Same thing on both. Okay, so we're going to go into the samples here. I'll explain to you how I'm going to do this while I'm putting my bass on my shoulder. I'm going to start with the Euro 4. I'm going to run through a certain number of samples, and then I'll go to a 5-string and run through a similar set of samples with just a small difference. In a second I'll be turning off a microphone here. So I'll start by doing some pickup voicing on a riff from Nothing at All, which is the song from the super 2020 Deep Purple album, Whoosh. So I'll do some pickup voicing. I'll start with a neck pickup, continue with bridge pickup, then do both of them, then engage the preamp by adding some treble and some bass boost. I'll play mostly fingerstyle, but I'll do also some pick. And then I'll play a few different songs from different styles as well. And I try to have samples that go in different place on the neck, so you can also hear the difference in behavior. So I'll play some Rick James, some nice funk tune there. I'll play a part of the Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Maiden, and particularly the arpeggio, so we have a chance to listen to the higher range. I'll do some slap, for better or for worse, but I kind of have to so that you can hear that sound. I'll play some pick on the Megadeth riff from Symphony of Destruction, and on the 4 I'll play in drop D as well, so I'll engage my extender here, and I'll play Velvet Revolver riff from the song Sliver. Whereas when I move to the 5-string, after having done mostly the same samples, I'll also have 2 samples which are specific to for you to hear the low B string, and that would be an Audio Slave bass line, as well as just some riffing that I'll improvise. So that's it. I'm going to start the samples now, so I'll be turning off the microphone. Hopefully that's been loud enough. And so if you notice any issue, or if you have any corrections, or if you just want to give some feedback, please hit the comments of the video. That's also very helpful. Again, the description below will have shortcut and timestamps to the different samples. That will be very easy for you to compare the 2 bass guitars, go from one to the other. and skip all my waffling, all my talking as well. Two more things to say. First of all, thank you very much to all those who have subscribed to the channel. That's also very helpful in getting some visibility. So if you fancy it, please add your name to the list and hit that subscribe button. And last thing, if you want to know more about Spectre Bases, I couldn't recommend any higher the Spectre Base Nation group on Facebook. It's a great community with super helpful people. So join that if you're not in yet.